ESG was a very neat way to package what a lot of investors think, the way how they align their values with their investments. I work in renewable energy, so obviously I think the ESG element is a very, very legitimate one, and it's one that, there are a lot of people I think that want to make the world a better place, and that believe that we can have a cleaner, more efficient energy system. With all the conflicts that we have, I think people are now saying, okay, all that stuff is great, but the most important thing is energy security, which I think, some of the panelists made some really good points about how renewable energy, particularly for Europe, is super important, because we're not going to start drilling for oil in the Alps, and we need one thing that Europe does have is wind and solar, and the technologies are cheap and scalable. That we can start putting them everywhere in Europe. Sort of start to, if it designs its energy system correctly and intelligently, start to transition away from all these foreign fossil fuels.
But really good to see the ESG conversation coming out today. So overall, a nice scene setter for the rest of 2024.
I think CEO of Invesco mentioned, which was that they're collaborating in terms of their emerging markets teams and their like global teams like together. And I think it's pretty interesting, like the contrast between combining your emerging markets and your non-emerging markets in your strategy. So I think it's pretty cool discussion.
I think it's easier to adapt to a technology than it is to something you cannot control. And I think if you live anywhere along the equator, your livelihood, your land, your houses, the way you live, it's just going to get really cool. And people in those areas generally have less resource to do anything about it. So for me, that's a greater existential threat to people than AI is.
I think the main thing that we've learned from history is the fact that there's always big bubbles and big crashes, and for as long as, for thousands of years, whether it was in commodities markets in ancient Japan or in Dutch tulips or whatever it is, there's always big cycles where huge amounts of capital flow into a particular sector. Everyone gets really, really excited about it, super buoyant, optimistic, and then at a certain point, the optimism kind of reaches fever pitch, and the investment thesis plays out. So I think it's always hard to time the market.